Hello, this is Jeff here with Pantheon Longboards. I'm here to show you the Pantheon Ember. We're out at Bear Creek Lake Park in beautiful Morrison, Colorado. It's one of my favorite parks to skate in. It's 8.5 mile loop, all up and down. We've got some beautiful flats ish on some just like pristine glassy pavement, and then a bunch of sidewalk path that's got a lot of up and down and tight turns, and it's a lot of fun. So this board's tiny. It's only 32.5 inches long. It's got a 25-inch wheelbase. However, that said, there's more foot space on this than just about any board ever of this size. So you may find it to be small and compact, but you will not find it to be uncomfortable. Board is 8.5 inches wide. So this is not going to feel that much different under your feet than a street deck in terms of how the concave and the width and foot platform feels. If you were on the tail, the bolts would be about the same as being between the bolts here. The Ember is equipped with a 3/4 inch crescent drop and a 1/4 inch rocker. So as our trip has been our best-selling commuter board to date, this board, if you're right in the middle of it, is going to be the same height. However, with a TKP truck, which is generally quite a bit lower, you're going to be super low to the ground on this thing. The whole point of a low, light, agile board is so it's just easier to control, easier to push. If you're riding through the city, it's going to be easier to move around objects and stuff like that. If you're riding on the paths like this, you can just have a lot of fun on it because it's fun and responsive. One of my favorite things about the double drop pushers that we make is that they're so easy to use for just getting around, working out, getting exercise in on a daily basis. You can push down hills faster, you can foot brake easier. It's a perfect board for a beginner or anyone looking to use their skateboard for exercise. Yeah, we designed this sucker around street trucks, so that means if you put RKPs on it, it's going to bite because RKPs bring in the axle. So don't do that. We recommend this board with Harris street trucks. I've tried all of the possible combinations, and I find these trucks and typically a large thin wheel, you could use an 85mm speed vent. These are 80mm Kegels. My whole concept of our commuter boards is to make them as thin and light and agile as possible. I like a thin setup because you're way less likely to kick the wheels when you're pushing. So you can be pushing regular, whenever you're pushing regular, you're probably going to be pretty comfortable, but when you're pushing switch, a lot of times people are a little less comfortable and they are more agile or likely to make mistakes. So we set this thing up thin so you're not going to make mistakes, and you can push as hard as possible and get yourself in line and as close to like a running form as possible. For what it's worth, I am 6 foot and about 170 pounds. We made this thing out of 8-ply maple, so you'll see this thing flex under my feet. It's a very comfortable flex. If you're lighter, it's going to flex a little bit less, maybe a little bit more stable. But I've never really had any problems with stability. Once you're spread out on this thing with your feet in the drops, there's almost no flex. When you're in the middle, you're going to feel it flex a little bit. So it's a really comfortable ride while you're pushing. We named this board the Ember because what I've found, and it's a true story for me, and it's a true story for a lot of us that are riding on longboards nowadays, is that we used to skate when we were little. I skated when I was like 12 years old, and eventually kind of like I don't want to say I grew out of it. I just started doing a lot of other sports, and I was hurting myself, and my parents were putting a lot of pressure on me to get a scholarship. So I stopped skating for a little while, and then towards the end of college, I picked it up again, and like an ember, it's a former flame that can always be reignited when treated with love. So that is our ember deck. It's the reignited flame.